If you clicked on this video, chances are you know what the moon is. For those of you who don't, I'm looking at you console players. The moon, officially known as Mare Lamentorum, was a game modification that allowed players to see each other's modded outfits and characters. It saw heavy use in the role-playing and social scene, or just with moving about in your aesthetic. Upwards of around 20 to 25,000 players would use it at any one time. Yeah, that is actually like the concurrent Steam numbers. It's sort of wild. Even increasing during peak hours of the week. Confirmed by the developer during a recent interview, links down below for that by the way, there are over 270,000 players registered to the service. So why are we talking about this? I assume you might have some idea, but hey, maybe you just clicked on the video for some reason or another. Thanks for that by the way. But fear not, I'll tell you. Last Thursday, the developer of Mare put out this message. I'm going to paraphrase here a little bit, so feel free to pause to read the message. But essentially they had received a legal inquiry, presumably from Square Enix, based on a recent statement, more on this later, causing them to make the decision to close the server effective the day after the announcement. What happened next is akin to essentially the 7th Umbral calamity for some players. The Mare Discord after the announcement was flooded with messages of support and dismay. There was so much that they had to put the Discord into slow mode. Frustrated users and those that celebrated decided to take the conversation to the official forum to share their concerns and whatnot. Now, this is, in my opinion, the equivalent of painting yourself bright red and throwing yourself in a ring with a bull. Just listen, don't do this. This is how we become extinct. In game, there were visuals for Mare. This is a game mod, just FYI. It was like someone famous had just died. And there were quite a lot of people at these visuals, in Limsa and whatnot. You had to load people in. And in traditional fashion, we cannot forget the review bombing. You see that big drop? Yeah, that's the day everyone found out Mare was done. As of preparing this video, Final Fantasy XIV is sitting at mixed with a 50% rating, and people have taken to sharing woes of the death of Mare to actually pushing people to share legitimate issues they have with the game, which seems like a constant talking point at the moment. So why did this happen? And why specifically Mare when there exists other notable mods out there? First of all, the developer confirmed that maintaining a server required a significant amount of online presence of their real identity. Enough that, well, they could be found if someone wanted to find them. They didn't substantiate or confirm the rumours that it was because of submissions via GitHub with their real identity. And although they did confirm in a recent interview that, once again, links below, there may have been like one commit under their real name, they personally doubt it was the reason for why they were found, pointing to the presence of maintaining servers as being the most likely factor. Though this doesn't really answer the question of why Mare in the first place. Well, thankfully, our beloved producer and director himself, Naoki Yoshida, can help us answer that one. In a recent statement, although he did not explicitly state Mare, it's quite obvious he's talking about it though, he details his stance, and by extension Square Enix's, on mod usage and its culture, and gives his insight into why Mare may have most likely been taken down. I will paraphrase a lot here, but you can find a link to the actual statement below. Reason number 1. It took away from the personal achievements and purchases of legitimate players. As mentioned earlier, Mare is essentially a mod that allows you to share your modded character with other players. Now, it depends on other mods to do this, but those mods allow you to use actual items that you can acquire in-game regardless if you actually own it or not, such as weapons earned from completing an ultimate to items that you purchase from the online store. Yoshi P's stance on this is that this detracts from the experience and the effort, or those that go through the trouble of saving money for store items, for legitimate players. Mare enables this interaction to occur between players that have earned them via legitimate means and those who do not. Reason number 2, it impacted Square Enix's bottom line. For some context, before I get onto this next point, news has been coming out pretty fast on this. And while I never actually expected Yoshi P or Square Enix to, well, put out a statement, let's put it like that. But I guess the forum being flooded, the game being review bombed, and the amount of content coverage on this may have potentially forced their hand to say something. My point being, in my original script for this video, I speculated that Mare might have been targeted due to it impacting the online store. Though I emphasised I was skeptical this was the case, and that it probably had less, if any, of an impact than some might have exaggerated. But it seems there is some truth to this. In their statement, Yoshi P did verify, but didn't provide to what extent, that mods like Mare are a threat to the viability of them providing their services at the current price point. And with the current cost of operating and maintaining their services, with global inflation already having an impact, removing mods that impact their bottom line, such as Mare, is a way of making sure they don't need to increase what we pay in the future. It's very bold to be transparent about this, and I expect this will be a talking point within the community over the coming weeks. For some, the Final Fantasy XIV subscription is already too much for the long waits between patches that we have for this game. So this might be taken with some degree of disdain by some players in the community. Reason number 3. Stricter regulations for content providers. Yoshi P provides additional reasoning around the growing changes worldwide in how we access content online, especially around adult and mature content. Most recently, the UK brought into law the Online Safety Act. This was a bill intended to protect children from accessing harmful content online. This includes, but not limited to, adult-themed content. This is the birds and the bees. And puts the onus on the platform provider to protect their users from this type of content. It's only a matter of time until other countries start to mimic this, if they haven't already, and Square Enix are aware that mods such as Mare allow users to make more adult-themed changes to their characters, which can then be shared publicly either in-game or on social platforms like X, causing them to be in breach of providing that protection to children. Now, although this won't completely stop raunchy posts circulating on X, for example, removing Mare will have an impact, especially in public interactions within the game. Now, these were the main reasons flagged by Yoshi P, but there are some potential notable missing factors. These might be because they were not at all a deciding factor as to why Mare was targeted, or were deemed inappropriate to discuss from a PR point of view. I will go into detail as to 2 other reasons which may have led to the demise of Mare, but to be clear, these are just speculative. Potential reason number 1, account ID damage control. According to Ozymandias, who is the developer of Penumbra and Glamora, 2 well-known mods that Mare worked in tandem with, Mare at one point used account ID and may have been collateral damage after the cease and desist of another mod, Playerscope. For those of you not aware of what either of those things are, how I understand it is account ID is basically your unique identifier, which links your characters for your Final Fantasy XIV service account, and for some reason this information was not obfuscated from potential third parties, a fault Square Enix are fully responsible for. This information being available allowed some less than savoury mods from existing. The most publicly notorious was the aforementioned Playerscope, nicknamed the Stalker plugin. I could make a whole video on this, but essentially Playerscope allowed users to track and look up various information about other players, including their whereabouts and their ults. I don't think I need to explain why this is weird. It's not hard to agree with Oda that this could have also been some level of damage control by Square Enix, removing everything that is public knowledge that users or as at one point work with account ID. Potential reason number 2, they are sending a message. Listen, I'm going to use that phrase you've probably heard a million times. What is the first rule of Fight Club? Users of Mare haven't exactly been quiet about its existence, from advertising that they use it on their adventure play, sharing codes to sync with one another in public channels, or posting pictures with their friends, modded to the Yazoo and X. It's like going into your local Tesco, stuffing a meal deal in your pockets, in front of the staff, and then walking out without paying. Yeah, I just added a British reference. Just deal with it. The point is, there is no way Square Enix did not know about Mare, and perhaps this was their way of telling us, reminding us that this is their game, and they'll enforce the terms of service if needed. Perhaps as a nudge to remind us that we should be a little bit more discreet about it in the future. Before I wrap up the video and share some final thoughts, I wanted to just briefly touch on some of the misinformation and rumours going around. As of recording, there are only 3 sources of truth. the statement that the mod creator put out publicly, the recent developer interview with Xenosis Vex, and the statement from Yoshi P himself. Now, whether the mod creator was honest in either of the first two, we can't say for certain. And although Yoshi P doesn't explicitly mention Mare by name, it's very clear that he was talking about mods with Mare-like functionality. Therefore, these are the only three pieces of information we can reliably say are truth when discussing this topic. All I can say is just be vigilant about what you read and see online. Although there could be some truth behind some of the information doing the rounds, it could very likely just be fake. Always approach new information with a level of skepticism before making it the basis of your argument or beliefs. So what about the future? With Yoshi P's recent statement, it comes with probably some welcome news to some, as he iterates and enforces the idea that they won't take issue to what you do in terms of mods, as long as it doesn't impact other players or their service in any tangible way, like Mare did for example. Keep it to yourself, and be quiet is the kind of message we're getting told here. But remember, it's still against the terms of service, and it's their right to enforce it if needs be. Nothing is truly safe. But what about mods like Mare? For some, the loss of Mare has created a void in their experience with the game. Some are likely, if not already, going to unsubscribe. Others will be less likely to play as much as they previously did. I feel empathy for these people, even if I do understand Yoshi P's reasoning to some extent. Because of this, many are likely to seek current or create their own alternatives. Whether Square Enix respond and try and whack-a-mole of these is up for debate, but I don't think this is the final end for mods springing up that are similar in functionality to Mare. Although I don't promote the use of mods, for your own safety, I do recommend you approach any Mare alternatives with a level of caution, regardless of what you do. Not every mod maker has the best intentions for you, the user, so be careful out there. Let things settle, if anything. Anyhow, that about does it for this video. If you got to the end, thanks for taking the time to watch the whole thing, and if you could like, subscribe, and comment, it would be super awesome as it helps the video and the channel. Have a good one.